Hello, my name is Sarah McGalliard and I'd like to welcome you to my video abstract. In 2006, $125 million was spent on game-based learning without knowing if it works or not. I'm curious about incorporating games into organizational learning. So 3 questions I hope to answer in my research are: can games really help us learn? Are games effective for facilitating organizational learning? And can we create meaningful games that are both fun and aligned with learning outcomes? I found 3 excellent studies on gaming and learning. The first is a dissertation by Davin Pavlis, and the purpose of this study was to provide validation of a new model of flow in game-based learning. And it also explores the relationships between state of flow, serious games, and learning. 2 experiments were conducted. The first consisted of the creation and validation of a play experience scale. In the second part of the study, the play experience scale was then used with a serious game to examine the impact of play, in-game performance, and emotional experience on flow. The second study I found was conducted by Richard Blunt, who works for the Department of Defense. The objective of the projects in Blunt's causal comparative study was to add definitive research in the area of game-based learning focused on the military. In Blunt's research, 3 studies were conducted to examine the difference in academic achievement amongst college students who did and did not use video games in learning. 3 different video games were added to approximately half the classes of business students in the topics of business technology, economics, and management. Identical testing situations were used in all courses, and the data collected included game use, test scores, gender, ethnicity, and age. In the third study conducted by Richard Weines and Alan Koenig of the National Center for Research on Evaluation Standards and Student Testing, a case study approach was used to examine the usefulness of methodology based on frameworks that bridge the effective learning experience with an effective game playing experience, as well as a multi-group development process between game designers and educators. The empirical studies conducted as part of the Pavlis dissertation provided 2 primary outcomes. First, a measure of play called the Play Experience Scale was created and validated. Second, a subset of the new model of flow in games was examined and provided meaningful results. It identified constructs such as play, flow, video game self-efficacy, emotion, and in-game performance are all key in understanding player experience and learning. Flow was significantly and positively related to learning outcomes, and performance and learning in serious games go hand in hand. The data analysis of Blunt's study found that overall, there were no significant differences in scores amongst gender or ethnic groups, but those that used games scored significantly higher than those that did not. However, students age 40 and under scored significantly higher with gameplay, while students 41 and older did not. In the Weines and Koenig study, the design and development process involving game designers and educators resulted in a game that has the learning domain embedded in core game mechanics, allowing it to be capable of fostering both retention and transfer. The 2 groups have created a shared model of what a game should look like and do, and they've also developed a shared vocabulary to better communicate during the design and development process. So, can games really help us learn? Yes, if they are properly designed. Play is one of the core benefits of a game-based learning platform and should not be considered secondary in serious games. Are games effective for facilitating organizational learning? Maybe. Blunt notes that the recruits of today not only understand technology in everyday use, they expect it. Generational demographics in organizations are beginning to shift. To remain competitive, organizations should consider what innovations in learning technology will be expected by future employees, and learning through games is worth future consideration and research. Can we create games that are both fun and aligned with learning outcomes? Yes. With learning games as an emerging trend in mainstream education, effective design is essential. Having game designers and educators work together can result in a fun gaming environment that fosters both retention and transfer of information. Although there is much more research that must be conducted on this topic, these 3 studies lay a great groundwork in terms of models and measurements that can be applied to future research in this area. Thank you for listening, and happy researching.